Preparing live stream. Got it.
Then you have to go on the tubes if you probably know, you've done it. So
and this is redirecting. Okay, and we've got a chat bar there, and I think it's going to be in a delay.
Okay. I'll go just see if I can find it. Do you want me to just see if I can find it to confirm that it's happening?
Yeah, because I've only got a picture of my...
Bobbie Richardson, the messenger.
Do I have to press play?
It says Bobbie with Katman, and it says live. I'm going to click on it. We are indeed live.
We are?
We are.
Okay, so you can see us actually chatting.
Yes, I can. We are adorable, by the way. Oh my gosh. They are in for a treat.
Okay, I'm trying to sort this out so I've got a chat bar going there and not on my Zoom. Sorry, guys. Anyways.
We're live.
We're live, yes, right. Okay, welcome to my Ascension Messages. My name is Bobbie Richardson, and I am introducing a beautiful person today. His name is Katman, and he has created a really amazing platform on YouTube called Eye Salon, and he interviews all these spiritual people, and he's also an up-and-coming progressive channeler, and we're going to chat about that as well. So throw ourselves in the deep end with this one. Okay, I'm just trying to sort this out because I can't see my chat bar on my thing, so we'll just see.
Well, you know what I could do? I can talk about who I am.
I think that's a great idea. So Katman,
do that
yourself, and we'll go from there.
All right, thank you. Well, thank you first of all, Miss Bobbie, for asking me to come on and be interviewed. I'm normally the host. Yes, Eye Salon is the podcast I co-created a couple of years ago, about 2.5 years ago, with my friend Linda Coulter-Burge, and it was really meant to be a safe watering hole for people to come to and be able to express their life and their experience and their ascension process, and or their confusion with it, or like whatever their journey is, or it's just holding them in love so they can pop open and share their lives with us. And with that, I just find there are so many people who are popping open psychically, and we're tuning into the fifth dimension, and we're going beyond this. We're able to start to remember who we are in the collective. And so, I've been interviewing all these people, and of course, every time you interview somebody, you kind of dose yourself with reality, right? You're dosing yourself with these bigger perceptions and expressions and experiences of the greater whole. And so, lo and behold, it's my turn to pop open, and it's my turn to hold that space for others as they're popping open. And by that, I just mean being open to the conduit that we're all connected to, which is universal love, or that the essence, how do I say this? Like, we are all extensions of these universal love that is wanting to express itself through us as us in individuation, but as a collective and back in the arms of love. And so it's just, I find these same messages are popping up with everybody, slightly different, at different angles, different perspectives, different touch points, but it's all supporting this blossoming of us reconnecting to our greater celestial family, our ET family, our, whatever you want to call that grander experience of the oneness.
See, that's the great thing, because you've interviewed all these people, and on the way, you've also, like you said, expanded your reality through their perceptions of their reality. And you can say, okay, that fits with me and that one doesn't, but you can pick and choose what feels good for you and find a little bit more about yourself, just because you've literally put yourself in a position of being that interviewer, and exploring other people's worlds and other people's ways of thinking that is outside the box. And I think that's a fantastic thing to do for this time. It just is, because this time is to do with expansion of awareness so that we can step out of an old paradigm, an old program that's not really working for us anymore. So kudos to you.
Thank you. Yeah, I feel like I really push other people to have podcasts. People think that you can, there are too many podcasts. There aren't. Like, start one. Like, I mean, it's your passion. Follow your passion, follow your pursuit, like, get your voice out there. And if you feel drawn at all to do one, I really just encourage everyone to occupy their digital creative space out in the world. And the thing is that, yeah, exactly. And because I'm a psychic empath, I'm feeling somebody's journey with them. And so, like, as they're talking about it, if there's a disconnect point, then sometimes, there's something where I have to unravel something to get tuned back in a little bit deeper. But that is the gift, is like, it's not just that they're telling me stories and I'm analyzing it and being like, I have decided that is true. Like, I am empathically with them as they're experiencing it. And so I can gauge it and I can reflect back to them, which is, what I do in my other work as well. But the whole point is, it's a remembering because they're connected. And now I'm connecting with their connection. Yeah. It's like taking the dust off, right? Like, it's like taking a rag and it's like removing all the crud, because I can feel their experience is true. So when my experience starts to happen and I pop open, it's like, oh, this is that, even though it's happening to me and it feels like I'm going crazy, like, that's my experience, but it's the same thing that everyone else is experiencing in their pop-up tube. It's just a slightly different emergence, Yeah.
Yeah, I love that, because when you're empathic, like I am as well, it's the feeling, not just analytical anymore. Yeah. And there's so many of us that are starting to understand that our life isn't just that 5 senses of sight, sound, that there's more. There's that feeling that comes with, and we're now up in the game in the fact that the feeling actually matters more. So then we can tune into other people's experiences because they're in our reality at that moment, and be able to have a fuller understanding so that you're not in judgment of them. You're more in, I see you, just like an avatar, right? I see you, and it's really not seeing, it's actually feeling. I feel your journey and I'm going with it. And if they go in a place where I'm not quite conducive with as well, I never judge it. I just see it as, wow, that's their experience and that's where they wanted to go. And it's so interesting where it's taking them. And it doesn't matter if I didn't need to go on that journey. So I totally get where you're coming from with that, and the whole expansion that you would have had on this journey of opening up the third Eye Salon, and interviewing all those people. Because I think I was interviewed on one of your first ones, like pretty much near the beginning, and I was just beginning at that stage too. And we've kind of gone neck and neck the whole way through, within our realities of what we're actually creating. So I feel like we're on this journey, like, except you're in US and I'm in Australia.
Well, it's good. I also, to speak to that, I love the fact that we are overseas and that we are able to empath across the planet to each other. And you know what I mean? And have others join the conversation and have their empathic energy. Like, the internet does pull us together in this way where we get to cheer each other on and support each other. And and
that's the thing, and feel it. And because we are both empathic, we're feeling each other's, where each other is and what we're actually doing, and understanding the growth of the whole of humanity through the fact that we're so far apart in a location, but there's people even on the other side of the world that are actually waking up as well. It's not just in my hometown or your hometown.
Yes. Gosh. And it's, So I just wanted to just tune into because I feel like this really beautiful mom energy with you, where you're very, like, when you're working with people, you're very welcoming and warm, and you allow them to express themselves fully. I can just, like, you've got that capacity with you. Does that resonate?
Yeah.
And I think that sweet it's not just sweet because you're also strong, but you're like, I think that mom energy that you bring into it is like, you're really giving people a safe space to blossom open. Like I can feel that you're kind of creating incubating space for them, don't you?
Yeah, that's true.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful. I love that.
I've got 3 children. I've been a mum for 33 years. My eldest is 33 and my youngest is now 17. So I've got this span of just being a mum forever. But I've also learned, I just kind of know how to, allow people to be themselves and that. But we're interviewing you, right? So I'm also...
You'll have to watch out for me. I'm going to do
because
that.
you're a natural-born interviewer.
I am. All right. I'll behave.
And if I tap into you, you have this energy of curiosity, of really opening up people through your curiosity of, wow, where are they going? That's how I'm feeling from you. I also have an elemental feel with you. There's very much a elemental fairy feeling with you, yes. And I know the elementals very well. So that's actually in my Cherokee name. I was given a name from a Cherokee elder that had Nanahi in it. Nanahi meant fairy or fae. But she come up to me as an elder and said, no, you're creator of that realm. So that was like, really? We'll see. But I do know elementals, and you definitely got that. And that's, I think, why I felt that you came from United, like
UK.
Yeah,
I have strong. Yeah.
Really felt that that's where you were from, and yet you're a US. Yeah. And where are you actually located? Like,
I'm in Denver, Colorado. So, but you were right. I mean, I have a huge love affair with England. Like right now, I'm just binge watching Taskmaster, which is like this British, celebrity game show, which is just utterly ridiculous, but it's so much fun. And like, there's just a vibe, like England feels like home to me. So I think you rightly picked up on, there's just an ache to go back and see England again,
I think if you go back, I have this feeling that you're going to tap into more than what you expect.
Okay.
Energetically, there's something going on. There's something going on all over the world, right? And we're all opening up. And you've had this diversity that you've had with all the people that you've met through your journey of Third Eye Salon that you've created. And with that, you've opened up even more. So if you go into that land that your soul knows very well, I'm feeling some gifts coming your way. I'm just channeling a little bit there for you and giving you some indication of things to come.
Thank you. That's a gift. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So yes, but you also have started channeling yourself, right? So you're getting into that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been very interesting. I've done this off and on for decades, really, but it was this latest burst. I mean, it was really my over the last 4 months. I mean, this is really fresh. This is very fresh. I'm still like a pupa, like coming out of the little larva, breathing my first breaths. So in terms of the awakening experience, and it's just been using these divining rods. I have divining rods or I call them attunement rods. They've been a conduit for me to be able to start to check in and have a long-term conversation with my celestial family, and to empathically feel who and what I am, and then be able to confirm that with them, and just be like, oh, okay, it's more over here, and just be able to fine tune. Again, it's like tuning and attuning with these rods to trust myself and be able to deepen this conversation. And from that, my ability to channel has just come through, because as I surrender into that greater flow, it's just how I'm built, really. It's like, I think some of us are just conduits, and that's just one of our gifts. And, we all are in one capacity or another. We're all conduits of love. We're all conduits of source. And how, if it shows up in celestial language, or if it shows up in art, shows up in being the best mom ever, like however you're channeling all the time. But that's how it's opened for me. And it's just been very affirming, because it's like all of these pieces that can look back and say, oh my God, that this opening is a graduation. It's a bursting open of all the clues coming together and forming a synthesis and an opening and a portal and a conversation to this greater whole that I am from. And being able to feel how desperately it wants to do this with all of us. It's just craving this relationship with us. And I think that's where you and I are in the same parallel of wanting to love people into loving themselves back into source energy.
Yes, exactly. Like the channeling really opens up and expands your awareness. And that's another reason why, like, you've just started this, that I'm saying there's a gift back because when you go back to UK, you're already open to the fact of channeling now. And so you are receiving information from wiser counseling for that trip that you take back, because there's some definite gifts. So I'm just tapping into you and feeling all this information that's coming through. But what you're saying is exactly right. This isn't just for you or for me. This is an expansion of humanity's consciousness, and it's a connection back to our soul. And our soul moves through us through feeling. Our soul moves through us through knowing. There's a knowing and a connection to those that are residing where the soul is within the energetic form of collectiveness. And so with that, we end up being able to speak to others that are still in a higher frequency or a soul dimensional space, or an understanding of their soul. We can then connect with them because they are, we're connecting to our soul. So we have this connection that happens in a higher, they say a higher place. It's the only way that our logical brain can handle it. But it's actually an inner knowing, an inner understanding of more of what we are, of more of who we are. And that connects us to more and expands our reality outside of this little limited logical brain trying to make sense of an outside world only. Totally different. It's going to turn the whole world upside down. I know it. And with you doing everything that you've done, with bringing in all of the people that you've interviewed and allowing them to have a space like you do, is actually so unique to what we're actually trying to achieve at the moment as beings that are connecting to our soul and having a fuller understanding of who we are and waking up others. You've done so well. I'm really proud of you, what you've achieved.
Oh,
I don't think you say it to yourself enough, see? And I think that we all go through our, I'm not doing good enough, or I'm not doing enough. And I know I can see the reflection in myself. And so...
Yeah, you called me out on your live stream. You called me out. Fine, Bobbie. Yes, I need to love myself more. And I think that's the big message right now, is that we've all kind of, because it's what it comes through all my sessions with people, is like, stop and love yourself. Stop and love yourself. And as the channeler of that, it's like it always goes double for me, right? Like, it's like you've just said it 3 times in 3 different sessions, Kat. And I think we're held into that accountability, and I do appreciate that, because there is that thing of like, why hasn't this popped bigger yet? Why hasn't this popped bigger yet? I know this is quality, I know this is good, and it's like you go through this questioning, and then what my celestial family is telling me, it's like, it's not about the show, it's about you. Your show reflects your energy. Yes. As you pop, it will pop.
I have exactly the same feeling.
Yeah.
Feeling so well. So that's so interesting. And that's why I reached out to you too, because I'm like, well, if I'm going to pop, let's pop with people that I resonate with and want to actually do something, more with, that I really respect where they've come in their journey. And in that reflection, it's going to hopefully help both of us have a better understanding of where our energy actually is lying in this self-sabotaging mode that we tend to taint ourselves with through not feeling like we are enough. I mean, I think people on the outside of what we're doing, because we are actually stepping into our potential and showing people to do it, don't realize it's still a game of this. Yes, I know what I'm doing. Yes, I'm right there. Yes, I believe in myself. And then there's those moments where you just go, well, it's not reflected back yet. So what the heck, where am I going with this? Yeah, but I have this faith. There's this inner, and I feel you have the same. There's this inner core faith of divine timing with the rest of the world, of who's ready, who's going to be ready to hear what we really do bringing to the table. And the importance of that comes obviously back to ourselves of, are we trying to be too perfect? That was one of the things that come up with me, perfect. I had to be perfect before I could step out into the grandiose of the biggest world. And yet I watch people who have got like 100,000 subscribers or whatever. And then I'm saying to myself, well, they're still making mistakes. They're still doing this and that, and they're still carrying on, but they don't tap into that perfection world that I'm trying to perfect, if you get what I mean.
Yep,
I don't know if that's the same as your energy, but that was one thing that came up with me, because I have no fear of going live. I have no fear of channel. I know 100% I'm coming from my heart, and it's absolute.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. But I have to be honest with myself, to be able to clear it. You can't
yes
action and not be honest with yourself. So I'm really deeply and I'm using these energies at the moment to really deeply look at myself, and I want to impart that on you as well while we're having this chat.
You're what? Say that again.
I'm just helping you, like, while we're having this chat, giving you my information of where I came from and how I'm dealing with it, with these new energies. Like, I'm really deeply looking at who I am and what I feel about myself. But we've also come from, and I feel you're probably similar, where we've really lost ourselves in a great way of, allowing the rest of the world to dictate to us who we are. And we have been stepping out into I know who I am now. But that's a journey in itself of still completing that, as in, now I'm stepping into my if your full power is a really big power, right? To step into that fully means that you have to take all responsibility for that power. And that's a huge leap to say that I am all that powerful, if you get what I mean. There's that as well. Yeah, I'm thinking.
For me, this is my experience of it, is that this is a trifecta, a synergistic triangle, this whole experience of love, wisdom, and power. Yeah. And we have to be able to, in this process of owning our power, we have to surrender. And from my experience, this is surrendering out of the matrix that is giving us our identity. And how that shows up for people looks differently, and how people liberate themselves looks differently. Some people don't even they don't associate to there being a matrix, and that's fine too. Like, but it's whatever your relationship is to the constructs that have been really siphoning us off spiritually, psychically, and incarnationally. Like, that's not a word, but like in terms of being flipped back, in terms of people, kind of getting stuck, looping back through more than they really should need to. There's been a system put in place that is built around oppression, and to be able to speak to that and about that in a way that is liberating, without there being any judgment, and to support people waking up is huge. And because it's like people are like, are you blue pill or are you red pill? It's like, so can we just be present to each other? Let's just love each other. And so it's, it's the purple pill. It's the one of balance. It's of the heart.
My pill. It's my pill of what I feel about myself, and your pill of what you feel about yourself. And then as we join together, we recognize the sameness and the differences, and allow just non-judgment. Really. I mean, even when I'm talking about the power of myself, that is within everyone else's understanding when they start to step into their power as well. Because in the end, we're all source energy and exactly the same equal power. If you're talking to source energy, God itself, a cosmos, whatever you want to call it, prime creator, and you're speaking to it as you speak to yourself, you could, you're not good enough. That's terrible. Of course, source energy is good enough. And that's all we are. We're source energy going through a journey or an adventure through these bodies, and creating an adventure. So at the core of everything, we are all that powerful. But then we realize everyone else is that powerful too, right? They just don't realize it in themselves.
And it's at that level, like when you realize, because at this level, there's not competition, there's collaboration and there's cooperation, because there's no way that Bobbie's light can take away from my light. Like that, it's just like, there's just that doesn't exist. And when you're operating on this level, again, it is surrender, because it's like, I'm not going to be going, because that's the thing where how they really pushed and popped me open was like my financial wound and my abandonment wound, that which, talking about your deep stuff to be working on, like going into your shadows. It's like those things for me have been the most precious things to understand about myself, and the thing that I, buried the deepest. And so as I'm, as they're pushing me through this and they're going, trust us, trust yourself, trust us, trust yourself. They literally said to me in a dream, listen 1, listen 2, listen 3. Like, don't disconnect and just keep listening to us, stay in dialogue, stay in contact. We're going to guide you through this process, but it is surrender. It is embracing your power. It is, grieving. It's all of these grand and banal things that are our lives, but we're doing it in such a level where we know that we're now being connected. My experience was I'm now connected to this greater source that is like demanding this of me, so that I will love myself and I will stop hurting myself, and I will love them the way that they love me. And then once you start to get that, you're like, oh my God, I want everyone to experience this quality of love. It's so beyond what we know here, right?
Yes. And it does also come down to trusting self. And when you're trusting self, you can trust those that come into your reality as well. And so moving through life as an expansive awareness of your own faith and who you are, and taking the right steps. And I think most people in their minds, when they're just coming from logic, are constantly second guessing and doubting themselves because they're not connected or tuned in to their feelings of who they are and where they really want to go, and the happiness that takes them there. So what you said is bang on with what I get as well. I love that you're started to channel now, and then because you're starting to channel now, you're getting so much more, so you can see so much more expansiveness that's happened since you've started, probably about who you are and how it works, because at the end, we're all the center of our own environment. We're all the center of our own existence. The universe and how it perceives to you is all that exists. The universe and how it perceives to you or me, is all that exists. And everyone has a different perception of that, and that is their universe, solely coming from their own understanding of what that feels like to them. And it's such a hard one to understand from a logical point of view. That's why we say, let it go, let that logic go. It won't understand. You have to come through the soul's knowing that you are at the core of yourself, the only thing that really exists that's creating all of this around us. And And then we have all these mini godlike people creating. And when we all turn around and go, okay, now we all know where we're going. We don't want to go to the fear-based, logical, scary limitations that make us feel angry. We want to go towards something that creates happiness, and why not just keep focusing in on that? Like, we've literally had our imagination put on suspension, put on hold, and
we've had
that's
it co-opted. We've had it stolen from us and fed into this matrix. I mean, like, what you think, entertainment is? It is a programming of our specific, how we engage with ourselves, how we feel about ourselves, what we need to do and why we need to do it. It's literally called, programming, because it is, it's there to make you feel and behave a certain way. And I think that, I just want to touch into this because this feels very important to share with people, because I want to give people a sense of upliftment, encouragement, because I know that there's been so much squeezing. And I can tell you, like last year I was squeezed so hard, I just was shattered. And, within that, there is a resurrection time. So all of this stuff, this angst and pain that you may be experiencing, if you're experiencing that and going through that, to lean into it as much as possible and to dive into it as much as possible, because this is the harvest, and this is the harvest of your soul and what you're doing and what you're bringing into the world. And resistance. So there's two paths that are going. I see, like, to a diversion. And the upward slope, it means that you show up for yourself and you surrender to your wounds, and you surrender to your power, you surrender to love, you surrender your resistance to love, like all of that good gut-wrenching stuff. And this one says, I will medicate myself because it's okay, I don't really want to go all that, I don't want to do all that stuff. And so, which one are you going to show up for? Because those have specific outcomes in terms of how they manifest in the
your
world.
Reality is,
and
in the end.
yes,
what you're creating
and what we're co-creating as well, because when we get together like this and vibe with each other like this, we are now co-creating that. We are now saying yes to this upward slope together, and we're anchoring it in, and we're saying yes to it. It's becoming our collective experience more and more, because we're reflecting it to each other. We now, instead of watching TV programming, we're watching each other, we're witnessing each other open and bloom, and we're like, yes, it's happening, it's in parallel, we're singing together, we're blooming together,
Yes. Yeah. And it feels good too. It feels like, we've gone all our lives thinking, is there anyone out there that will absolutely would understand me because I'm so different? And I'm sure you felt the same way. And now I'm creating my own reality of self-acceptance. And then you end up having people like you and the people in the comment bar. We've got quite a few in the comment, actually.
Oh, nice.
Hi, Cherie, Yannicka, Lady, Joy, Katie. They're all watching. So that's nice. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you. Hi, hello, thank you.
Yeah, there's sharing some great little stories in the comments there. So that's cool, and I love that. That community feel is us starting to trust ourselves and opening up to see. I have no fear of where I'm going, because I've been shown on my way where I'm going, and it's a stillness within myself. And that stillness comes from self-acceptance of everything, of the journey. And then that stillness of self-acceptance brings me into living in the moment and not in my logical mind of what ifs. And so we end up creating the community and bringing and vibing people together that are not only moving, like you said, up into that beautiful self-loving world from looking at ourselves fully. But there was another message there, but also we are collectively coming together to be able to create these platforms and, just share with the world our full awareness of the journey itself. It's not an easy journey, is it, Katman? Not always.
Oh, no, no, no. I mean, that's the thing where I was, I'll just share a little bit of my experience because I feel like it's relevant. Like I was really medicating my this aspect of abandonment, of this abandonment wound, to a point where I created absolute chaos in my life. I created an implosion because it was done unconsciously. I created a situation where I lost everything. And it wasn't out of anything malicious from my side. It was literally me believing, it's a big long story. I don't want to get to all those details, but we'll just say that the reality that I thought was happening wasn't. And part of the reason why I was able to be duped into this reality, this false reality, this false narrative, was because I wanted to be loved, and I needed to be loved, and I wanted to feel love. And this false reality was offering me a love that wasn't real. And I extended everything into it because I wanted to feel love so badly. But because I hadn't done the work, like that wasn't going to be sustainable. Like you haven't done the work. You're looking for a love that isn't real. You're falling for something that's false because you're so afraid of surrendering to the real love and letting yourself go through all of the feelings, all the emotions, all of the grief. And so as they pull that part of me open and unravel that within me, it's like, oh, I can see exactly why that needed to happen. I had to surrender. This money wound that I have, which is also the abandonment wound, it's all the same thing of feeling safe in the world. And until I surrender to the divine that loves me unconditionally, and I surrender to trusting and loving myself unconditionally, my world will always reflect some drama back to me. Because I'm fighting some aspect of myself. So that was the perfect implosion. And, it was, I have huge empathy for people going through stuff. I get it. It's sometimes it's just a lot.
It is a lot, but it does make you, when you start to see the pattern, and you're the main denominator of that pattern that's been caused or brought into your life, then the only person you can look at is yourself, for putting yourself in that position over and over and over again. And they're just reflecting that lack of what you already had within yourself. So like self-love is a huge thing. Self-support is a huge thing at the moment, because then you're no longer grasping for someone to fill that gap. And then if you're looking for someone to fill that gap, that automatically you've given your control, your power away to that person, because they have now the ability to walk away and make you feel even worse than what you were before. So it all comes back to, well, if I can feel really good within myself of, I trust who I am, I trust that I'm going to move through this universe, my universe I'm creating, and create a beautiful scenario, and allow it to be present in my life as that reflection, then it starts to work. So that's what's happened to me. Like I had the same thing with you 2 years ago, terrible relationship, totally broke up, and then caught cheating, bit up, all that sort of scenario. And then I just went into my hermit stage 2 years ago, and I started to see the pattern, and I cleared the pattern. And then I said, this is what I want to create. I'm that powerful. I'm going to be that powerful. And this is what I want to create. And everything so far, apart from my career is the last one. I got the man that I desire, that I absolutely love, as a reflection of my own self-love. I got the home, the beautiful turnkey home a year later. I got a cruise with my girls, which we're going on in 3 weeks. And then the other thing was my career to take off. But that is, now I've got to support me and who I am. It's got nothing to do with any of what he's bringing to the table. It's got everything to do with just me, how I'm working through this and supporting myself and loving the work that I'm doing. He's always there at the sideline cheering me on, but that's all I can expect from him. It's an interesting concept, rather than expecting him to carry me over that finish line. Every time he goes to carry me, I go, no, I want to do this on my own. And I know the value of that. I know if I do it on my own, there's a value that I get at the end of realizing I can do that, repeat it. in the future as well, where if I'm relying on him, I can't.
Yeah. And I think that there's a relationship of understanding your, the capacity to be your own fountain, and to know that, you are tapped in, you're tuned on, you're flowing. And then I think there's also, but I feel like it's also important, like in this, like even as we surrender, it doesn't mean that life doesn't touch us, and that like, our heart never gets broken. Like, things like, I think that is the point for me where when I was disassociating, like when I was starting to, like, and this was the thing, this was the important thing I wanted to bring in, was like, part of this was like, this narrative I was telling myself that I'm in 5D reality, everything's golden light, I'm in 5D reality, like this false thing that's happening is, it's real, and it's beautiful, it's sustaining, and it's all of this was like a reflection of wanting to disconnect from the pain. And like, we have to absolutely be willing to feel our pain. And if there's any unresolved wounds within us, we must be willing to turn them over to universal infinite love and let it have its way with us. So that way we actually are living from the fullest expression of our being. And even within that, our heart might get broken again by something. It's like there's a vulnerability, but the power comes from the vulnerability, and the vulnerability comes from the surrender. And it's just so important to understand that, like, we don't get to be 5D bulletproof. Like life, like I feel the emotions of the celestial beings who are connected to, and sometimes they weep for people that they're connected to. Like there's a heartbreak through all of eternity because it's so intense to be here. There's compassion, and we just have to be willing to. There's a little bit of a tirade there, but I just feel like there's an importance for us to be able to understand that we don't become bulletproof. We become more open.
Acceptance. Yeah. That was the big game that I got shown as well, is acceptance. But not only acceptance of the journey that went wrong, but also the acceptance of the power that I was denying in myself of creating the reality that I really, truly desired. I had to have that acceptance of all. And definitely there was, whenever a problem comes up with me now, and they still do, I tend to, first of all, point the finger outside of me, feel into that and blame somebody or something. And then when I feel into that, I go, hang on a sec, where's that truly coming from? Because if I'm pointing myself outside myself, that means that I'm blaming something that I don't want to see in myself. So now I'm like looking at myself, if I was truly, created a reality that I was absolutely self-supporting and not relying on somebody else, then I would make a totally different decision based on that I have felt free within myself. Yeah, so you end up I always bring it back to me, and I'm really, really, really honest with myself. I won't let it go until I find that space that I lacked in to allow that reality to show up and give me such an emotional shock. So that's the process. When you learn the process, you can move into more. I feel like this is turning into more of a counseling session than an interview, right?
Well, it's like we're like unraveling this how we're experiencing it.
We are.
Yeah. And I like it because it kind of shows that like we're both doing kind of something where like they're parallel, but they're different. But like, all of this is the dedication for the self-exploration, because that is one of the things where we've got to get over this mommy daddy concept of God and mommy daddy concept of extraterrestrials. You know what I mean? Like, we are the sovereign beings, and sovereignty means accountability. And it does mean, it doesn't mean beating up yourself because you got a dirty house. It means cleaning up your house. It means doing the work and showing up for it and surrendering to doing that work. And that is in that humbling that's where the really authentic connection starts to come in. And we
That's
realize that
right.
we're all in this together.
Yeah. And even no matter how high the benevolent beings are that you see in your head, they're still exactly equal. One of the first messages I got years ago, we're talking like 20 years, I was writing this poem down of facing fears, actually. And then at the end, this word came out, namaskar. And I'm like, I don't even know if that's a word. I don't even know if that is relevant or anything. I just wrote it down. And then a year later, they asked me to look it up because I found the poem again. And I looked it up, and it was an ancient word, even more ancient than namaste. And it meant greetings. I recognize we are all one. And that's from what I was perceiving as something in higher value than myself. But they were recognizing me as just as valuable in my lessons of what I was going through as they were and theirs. Didn't matter. Even if you were in a higher dimensional space where you were more creating through love of self, or whether you're creating through pain and fear, it's still an adventure that source energy wanted to go on through you to see where that would take, and to expand awareness of self through the pain and understanding how to bring ourselves back up out of it again. So, yeah.
Yeah, we did a show with Guy Stephen Needler. He's in the UK. He is able to just converse with the universe and all the different dimensions and realms, and then beyond this particular connection with source to the ones beyond that, and have these very like logical but mind-blowing conversations. And it's for us to understand that like we are part of this continuum. We are so valuable because we are it. Like we are literally made of stardust. That's the thing, is like they are our higher selves. You can call them your higher selves. I call them our celestials, like whatever you want to call that. But we are literally a fractal reality, and we're extensions of them. And they love us, and they are here for us, but we also need to be here now for them. And that's where this relationship of like waking up and becoming adults in no longer doing mommy, daddy, save me now, but like step up into your sovereignty. We now can anchor their presence onto the planet versus asking, oh, I don't like being here, I want to get off the planet. Like that's a phase I think we all go through. I went through it for a long time, so no judgment. But like at a certain point, you're like, I surrender the fight, and I start to go into why I resist being here, so I can truly understand who I am and where things got askew, because it is a gift to be here. It is rare. It is rare, and it is a gift amongst star beings to have a human incarnation. Sure, some of us have gotten stuck, but at the same time, in the vast realm of it, this is a grand experiment.
It is, yes, yeah, and I know what you're saying with that connection. I have had a profound connection of 2 years previously asking to connect to source energy, and source energy 2 years later, I actually went through this journey of delayering myself of all the self-sabotaging things and went through that. So
you're talking about that. We're gonna talk about that when you come on our show. We're gonna go into all that.
Yeah.
On Third Eye.
Yeah, it was a huge experience, and it was really profound. The timing happened right at the beginning of, when everything was shut down, and I went into hermit state. I literally had to shed away everything that year, and then went into hermit stage after that. And it literally, because I realized where I was going. Once I felt into that feeling of oneness, and that I was it and it was me, it changed, it shifted something within me of understanding, and made me realize just how much we are the creators of this illusion, this space.
Yes, exactly.
This. And then I'd look at everyone else and go, my God, you're all creators of your own. And so they would be fixated in on a problem or an issue, and it become bigger. And then I'd be like, oh, I've been there, I've done that. And there was no judgment whatsoever. Even the power lines, as I was walking past them, I'm going, wow, I created them. It didn't matter what it was. Wow, I created that. It was just an incredible experience. And yeah, so there's so much more understanding that we are developing into, humanity is developing into. And when we start to realize and really get that and really feel it from the core of ourselves, we no longer look for somebody else to save us, like you said, mum, mother, father, sort of godlike energy outside. It's always was residing within us. And isn't that what the gurus and all that years gone by always say? It resides within you, you know? And it's like, I don't get that, because you're still coming from a logical mind only of understanding, and not the understanding through the feeling of being absolutely connected to all as one, and you as the adventure through your own perception of your own reality. It's crazy. But yeah. Did you want to talk a little bit about your channeling and stuff? Or I feel like we've gone into a counseling session, but it's been a great talk for helping others. So I'm going with the flow with it.
Well, so the channeling, what would you like to know about the channeling? What do you want to know?
So what happened with you when you started did you just go one day, you know what, I really want to do that, I want to have a crack at it? Or did it just start happening for you naturally? Or?
So really, I'd been doing it off and on over like literally decades, and it would, it'd be handwriting, just, me listening and doing dictation. Sometimes it'd be something I'd write for somebody else. Sometimes it'd be poems. It was that sort of like hands-on channeling. And then, so I've had a relationship with that on and off. Then prior to my implosion, I was like actually channeling in the morning, and I was, oh God, just remembering. Okay, so I do my morning, meditation or journaling, and then I would open up for channeling, and you let that come through that way. And I'm just remembered one of the things they said to me was, "This is really going to hurt." And like that was the message for the day, and that had to do with what had happened. But anyway, so from that, then I was just kicking and screaming for a year until I finally got over it. And then, but what I've been doing is light language. Like I would do light language on my own anyway. Like it's something I've been playing with that one for like 10 or so years. But I was never like, and I've done toning. I've done a lot of vocalizing, using sound healing through my voice. So there's always this connection to my throat, to my voice, even though it's a little strained right now. But I gotta breathe in deeper, and I gotta slow down my speech, and that will help balance my voice. So more therapy, more free therapy for you right there. It became this thing of and actually working with Sister Cannabis, who's like a plant medicine ally for me. And then being able to work with the rods, and then in that altered state, even with or without cannabis, but just the cannabis it became like a ceremony where it was like creating a sacred space, putting up crystals, and really going into an altered state, and then really being able to let them through and have a two-way conversation with them. And really be getting, clear, crisp answers, and coming through me, and what I call telepathy, where it's like I'm telepathic, but it's through empathy. It's like my empathic reaches out, and then I get the information from the empathy. It becomes words. And so as I, was deepening that, then it just became when I was tuning into the celestial energy, and I was just surrendering to the flow of that and letting it go through me, like other beings would appear, like a Lyran would appear, or a Lyran would appear. And, and then an avian would appear. And it's just like allowing that to just come through, and allowing the language to come through. Like each one had like this, and like another, like a mantis is another strong one that comes through, and being able to give it the, I'm doing this because this makes me think of like the mantis, but to give it the vocal, expression of that, and then be listening to what they're saying, then hearing the message that came along with it. And I started to document it and record it for myself to verify that like this is really happening to me. This is really, this is real. I'm validating this. I'm taking it seriously. And then, it's just an extension of my natural empathic ability. And then, then working with people and working with other psychics and having people verify that, as I'm tuning into them empathically in terms of their life and where they're at and things that are happening with them, and then going into their celestial family and getting that message, it's the same energy, it's the same frequency. And for them to have parallels, like, oh, owls, my God, I can't believe you said owls, those moments where you're like, okay, it's a continuation of. And for you, you're very comfortable channeling. And for me, I'm still like, okay, am I crystal clear? Am I clean? I want to make sure I'm, there's still that earnestness as opposed to just letting it come through and letting it be enough,
Yeah, that's interesting, because I've never done ceremonies or anything. I just straight up, but then I've been connected, I've seen other dimensional beings all my life, and my mum had the same gift to see things interdimensionally. So I've had a lot of things told to me that came true, and like been taken to digging up a gold bracelet, or that there's some wood being chopped for you at the moment, and things like that.
Confirmations, which is huge.
Yeah, and practical things that you go, there's no way else I could have known other than a voice coming in and being an external something that's told me something that's not logical.
Right. It's beyond what this world would tell me. It's beyond. It's something bigger than this.
That's right. Yes. And then when I was taken into the New Earth scenarios, my mind was so still in that higher potential for humanity's consciousness to be able to come into. My mind was so still, I knew where home was, and it wasn't to do with my location. It was to do with my stillness of my mind. So whenever I move into channeling, like you said, I just have this absolute knowing of stillness with it. I don't have any preconceived ideas within my logic of I need to bring this. If I start doing that, it gets muddled.
Yes,
and so
absolutely.
I actually say to my audience, I'm reading this because it was channeled last night, but I'm trying to channel at the same time, and it gets a little confusing. So I'm trying to split the two up. If it's reading, I'll do a movie to it. If I'm channeling live, I'm present.
That's very good.
Yeah. So it is, like you say, a tweaking of everything. There's no right or wrong way or journey, or no one's better than another on how it's the whole game is to expand your awareness, and you've done that, you're doing that in your own way of how you're expressing and moving into that channeling. So I'm really, I think it's profound that we're even having this interview or chat, really is what it is now. Because I think you're up to that next level of realizing that you can actually channel without having to do make sure the crystals are all in the right place, right? Make sure that.
Yeah. I mean, that is, it depends on what I'm doing. It's really like one of the big things is to understand that how we show up is also adheres to our genealogy. I have strong European Wiccan things within my celestial family.
I love that story. Yeah, Wiccan story.
For me, like the ritual, the smoke and all of that, like this is a memory of how to do things. So these, working with this is part of my working with my accoutrement, like that is part of my library of how I create and how I do what I do. And I think that it's at the same time, I've channeled for people at a moment's notice because it was the right thing to do at the right moment, like it's not either or, but like there's a certain, for me, when I do celestial attunements, like it's really sacred to me. Like it's like these are love letters from home coming through me, and the deepest desire for the person I'm talking to know that they're so loved and connected is coming through. So like, I really, I honor the space when I do that. I honor, it is very, I don't just pop out of the shower, sit down and, start to like help somebody. Like, no, I'm tuning in, I'm giving this a sacred birth space for them because I really want them to have the richest experience possible,
Yeah. And I understand that. And I think I love that adventure, or that story, the Wiccan story, where you do have all the bits and pieces around them. But in the end, I just want to say this. In the end, we're all going to be this telepathic, and that's just going to be moving through life as an understanding that we also we can tune into our higher wisdom at any given moment. That's where humanity's consciousness is going. But to take that Wiccan understanding of sacredness and everything, it becomes involved or wrapped into your everyday motion anyway, whether you're doing the dishes physically or anything.
Exactly.
Who you are and how you're collaborating with your outside world, whether it be a higher dimensional being or the soap suds in the sink. That sort of thing ends up becoming the
reverence, the connection, that's beautiful. I love that. I would have to concur. I think that's working on that. Like neglect, if you find yourself neglecting any part of your life, it's self-neglect. And they've really been calling me out on that, kind of like pointing it to me. And it's like neglect any area of your life is like your inner child crying out, asking you to like pick them up in that space and be held, because we're meant to be appreciated 360.
And play, and they're bringing through this word playfulness with your inner child as well. Like
huge.
One of the biggest messages that I got from Gaia, she came to me in a dream, and it was with this new shift that's happening or going to happen, because this is like 5 years ago. This new shift happens. Don't worry about the rubbish on the world. Dance through it. Dance, just lift your vibration, play with the energies and dance and have fun. And so that's why I like your story of bringing in the Wicca stuff, because you really love that. So that's the right thing for you in what you're doing, but not to discard the fact that everything is, and it would be great to be having everything in that playful energy or that reflection of love of self.
I think that all of these things, again, in I guess in my process of awakening, as I was remembering who I am and my celestial self and how I'm connected to my celestial family, like I started to integrate these aspects of myself, some that had not fully integrated, and they're part of the fractal family that had not, crossed over, had not become ascendant. And so in integrating them in and bringing them in, it's like, oh, this one has the gift of this. Oh, this one has the gift of that. And those are aspects and attributes that are just natural. Like, this is a daisy, so it has yellow petals, so like, this expression is natural for me. And everyone has their natural things, those affinities they're just drawn toward. And lean into those, because that really is who you are. Like those things that are your natural affinities are pointing to your bigger celestial identity.
Yes. And that's where the non-judgment comes in as well. Allowing everyone to experience their own journey and what makes them happiest in their own self as they're moving along. And that comes into the fact that if we're trying something new, like channeling, how you go about it is your own experience to delve into something through your own self-love of that experience.
Totally.
And that's what you did. I love that you did that. And I can see, like, I really feel like so strongly, sorry, it's coming back to me again, that whole going back to UK and you tapping into so much more over there. I don't know why, but wow, it's huge.
I love that you're tapping into it. I just think it's so juicy. It's like a Christmas present that you're giving me right now.
It's like giving me this excitement for your journey and where you're going to go to next.
Thank you.
Wow. Yeah. So yay. Maybe I just feel this connection to beings over there that it's a literal understanding of knowing each other before like soul connection. There's some understanding of knowing each other, and they stayed in that etheric world or that other vibration so that you could connect with them when you come back, so that you could ground their energy in on earth through you. Anyway, there's a whole heap.
Wow, you're so psychic. That was amazing.
Yeah, just
Wow, thank you.
yeah,
That was that was a legit reading right there. You just threw me some wild cards. Thank you.
I can definitely feel there's great things on your journey. Don't be too, I'm going to get into a reading now. Don't be too afraid. Don't be too worried. Don't be too worried about where you're going to go. And that, everything else it's all going to come together. And you're just going to go, wow. I'm so glad that it happened in those stages and that happened in that way. What work you've done is coming back tenfold. And what everyone's there, helping, supporting you in this. So I'm not just talking people, but what we would perceive as higher beings and their soul frequency is not higher. But yeah, anyway, otherwise I'm just going to start reading you, and I'll be here for another hour reading you.
Well, I just wish I could give you a hug. I mean, you're really giving me some blessing, because you're allowing me to tune into it through you. So thank you so much for that. It really is such a gift. It feels like a homecoming.
So and that's what I do. I connect to people's souls so that they can feel back to their original authentic self and go home and understand the magic and the gifts that are here present for them to ground on it. That's exactly what I do when I do readings and stuff.
Wow, that makes sense.
It's supposed to be about you and your
we're just being a couple of girlfriends hanging out over over Zoom. Yep. Yep.
That's great. So yes, I'm thinking, well, it's 11 past 11. Look at that. 11:11. Oh my God, over here.
I love it.
And we were only going to go for an hour. But it's just been an absolute pleasure and a journey. And thank you so much for sharing yourself and everything that you've gone through and been so open, because I think that's what this world's craving for, is more authenticity, even though we are stretching the limitations of this reality while we go through that. It's sort of authentic expansion of self. And I really appreciate everything that's coming from my tribe and everything that you're doing. So if you take that as a grandiose, red carpet, walk with everyone for you, take it, because that's going to drive you also into the next stage as well. I really feel that.
I take it as a big hug. Thank you so much. I just want to say thank you for giving me a safe space to show up, and it's nice to hang out with another empath. And it's nice to be able to just kind of spill the beans and be received. So thank you for creating this space. Thank you.
Yes. And just to let everyone know, and probably April or something, when you've got quite a few.
Yes, April. We're gonna have you on April on Third Eye Salon. Yes. Yeah,
then I will be on Third Eye Salon, and then it'll probably be another chat like this, right?
Well, hopefully we'll have a couple of co-hosts too, so they'll have even more. Again, like Third Eye Salon is meant to be a place for us to get to hang out with fellow psychics, and it's like going through your art portfolio with people that are like, oh, I love your work. You know what I mean? And that was something. Can I tell you? Here's a quick reading. This was something I saw before I came onto the show. I was just like in a little slight nap state. So I'll give you a reading now. But I saw you, God, your hand was moving so fast, but you were making art, and it became an art journal book. It was like this book that was created from your art journals. And it was beautiful. So just something with art journals and you creating something that is like, it's an art journal book, but of your journey. Yeah. And does that already exist?
I started it years ago and put it down.
Okay, I'm seeing it become something that you produce. Something that you produce, like with all the art that you've created, you create like a journal of your art history. Your art journey. Anyway, we can talk about it more, but it was just, I was like seeing you just moving your hands, like making all this amazing art. And maybe that is something for you to finish. I don't know. I'll leave that up to your guidance, but there
Thank
was a
you.
lot of energy around that. So
Yeah, right. Yeah, that makes sense because I was
okay.
doing it. And I started a little journal and I started creating all these messages through understandings of myself in the journal. And I am very quick when I draw. I'm not a slow drawer. So
Yeah, you're able to produce art really like quickly. Like you can produce completed pieces that are gorgeous quickly because you just seem to have like a good grasp of right where things need to go. Like I
yeah.
feel like you've got really good like eye mind to canvas coordination. I don't know how you say that, but like you're able to do it. Like it's really great.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'll look into that. I'll take that on board.
Take it on board.
That's so much to do. Okay. Thank you so much, Katman, for being on this journey with me. And I can't wait to be on your third Eye Salon. So guys, look out for that. We've just gone live through Zoom, so I haven't got anything on the Zoom. I'll have to put all of our connections and everything down underneath. So once you give me that, I'll put all that down so we can, you guys, my team, my people that follow me can follow you and vice versa, whatever you feel. So Katman interviews a lot of different psychic people, a lot of different people, but he also is bringing up his own channeling now. So just go on his third Eye Salon and check it all out. Yeah, we're all here for each other.
Exactly. 100. Thank you,
Yeah.
Bobbie, so much.
Thank you. I love this conversation, by the way. It was fun.
And thanks to everybody who watched. Thank you. There's so sweet of you to show up. Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.